now.
Officially releasing the names of the 6 victims and the
shooting
killed himself.
of himself.
Right now, our Colette Bordelon joins us live from the Police Operations Center. And Colette, what can you tell us?
We learned a lot more about how this tragedy unfolded here today. Police say 28-year-old Teodoro Macias, the suspect, was upset about not being invited to that family's birthday party celebration. Now they tell us that he had been dating one of the victims, Sandra Ibarra, for about a year. Investigators say the suspect displayed controlling and jealous behavior toward Ibarra, trying to isolate her from her family. The chief says domestic violence is at the core of this horrendous tragedy. When the shooter entered the home, he shot the 6 victims in rapid succession. One adult survived along with 3 children in the home who all lost parents that day and witnessed the shooting to some degree. Now, there's still a lot of questions when it comes to the firearm that was used. Police say that the suspect didn't purchase that handgun, but it also hasn't been reported as stolen. I'll have much more coming up at 5. Always watching out for you, Colorado Springs. Colette Bordelon, News 5.
Colette, thank you. And continuing our coverage in the aftermath of that tragic shooting that claimed several lives here in Colorado Springs, people are asking how they can help the families of the victims and the children who witnessed the violence. News 5's Patrick Nelson reports.
In the absence of an official fundraising campaign or destination for donations to help the victims of the mass shooting in Colorado Springs, crowdfunding campaigns are popping up online, including a Facebook fundraising campaign that's raised more than $24,000. While donating to crowdfunding sites can be a nice gesture to help people in need, consumer advocates warn you are giving at your own risk because there isn't any oversight on who exactly gets the money and how it's spent. I spoke with Gary Butterworth of the Pikes Peak Community Foundation, who has led the collection of funds during the pandemic and massive wildfires like Black Forest and Waldo Canyon incidents. He says it's important that people are patient as community organizations work to coordinate a response where donations can have the biggest impact.
All of those organizations are reaching out and having the conversations to understand how best to support the community at this time. And as information is known and as we understand that, the appropriate organizations will step forward and provide the most secure way to provide that financial support.
It's important to note if you donate to an online fundraiser through one of the crowdfunding sites, legal experts say it's nearly impossible to get your money back if you find out later on the money wasn't used in a way you were hoping. I was able to connect with Lori Styron, the executive director of Charity Watch, a watchdog organization that investigates nonprofits and helps donors identify places they can trust the most with their dollars.
If you really, really want to help, just take an extra 10 or 20 minutes and do a little bit of research to make sure that whatever you can afford to give, whether it's $10 or $2,000, if you just take a little bit of extra time, you can make sure that the donation you give is going to have some kind of an impact. So you can accomplish more with a $10 donation to a legitimate and efficient charity.
Whether it's a donation in the wake of this recent violence or for a cause that you're passionate about, there are tools online that can help you make sure your money is more targeted and it goes where you want it to go. I've posted some of those resources on our website, KOAA.com. Always watching out for you, Southern Colorado. Patrick Nelson, News 5.
Patrick, thanks.
For you tonight, May
Tonight,
Mental
babe.
Health Awareness Month between the
Pandemic now,
contentious election
election,
season,
the
wildfires,
violence,
call for social justice, and
Through this
mass
now,
shootings
has-
just weeks apart, first in Boulder, now in the
now,
Springs. No surprise,
no surprise
an
now,
increase in the number of people seeking out
seeking
mental
out
health help.
but
in the last
the
year,
last
there's
year
also
now,
a shortage of professionals
profession-
amid the increase in demand. In fact,
in fact,
our state,
our state now,
47 nationwide for
nationwide
its handling
is
of mental health needs. And that brings us to
Because
tonight's
SJ,
KRLA
digital
digital
survey,
survey.
we asked
How
how many
sought out mental health support
support
in the past
year.
year? Take a look at the results,
Today
so far, and
on
81%
said
you
say
have
yet
sought
not
any kind of mental health help over
help
the
over
past year.
past
In person,
year,
8%. You
percent.
can see that
You see
down
that
the line, and again, something that we've been reinforcing here Allison, last year now, it's so necessary.
You feel that you
Feel
need
it.
to speak with someone about whatever
Whatever
issues
is-
are going on in your life. Help is
Help is
available.
Find a way
to reach out.
to help.
Right, and counselors have also really had to adapt through all of this because in some cases when they're working with these people virtually, sometimes they're in those environments where it may not be safe for them to reveal certain information, and so they've had to get creative as well as in talking with some of these patients through all of this. And if you or someone you know does need help, reach out to the Colorado Crisis Services hotline. You can call the number on your screen or text TALK to 38255. It is free and confidential. Over 1 million Coloradans have turned to them for help. Let's take a live look outside now in southern Colorado this afternoon where that snow is really coming down on this May day. Let's get the latest from the forecaster Mike Daniels.
Yeah, it sure looks like December out there, Allison. Take a look. Big, fat, fluffy flakes flying here across the north end of Colorado Springs outside our Rock Room and Studios. Real beautiful picture right there. You get the spring green, you get the winter white, quite the contrast. It's been coming down at a pretty good clip. That's what it looks like live on Monument Hill right now. About an inch of snow it looks like on some of the grassy surfaces. I-25 still in good shape, and it will remain in good shape for the rest of the afternoon into the evening. Here's what we've got. Rain and snow across parts of eastern Colorado right now. A little disturbance coming through, creating this rain and snow where you see these darker blues. Those are the areas in Colorado Springs getting the heaviest snowfall right now. That stuff drifting off to the south and east. If you get an inch of snow, I think that'll pretty much do it on the grassy surfaces. A little bit of light rain shower activity across parts of Pueblo County right now. I think we'll still see some pretty good bands of snow across parts of Colorado Springs at 5 o'clock, even into 6, maybe a couple of leftover snow showers drying up between 7 and 8 o'clock. A few leftover rain showers out across the southeastern plains. Then clouds and fog overnight tonight. When will this cold air finally move out? We'll have that answer coming up in First 105.
Mike, thank you. Net or Health Watch. The FDA has given emergency authorization for the Pfizer vaccine to be administered to kids 12 to 15 years old. By the end of the week, nearly 17 million children should be able to get vaccinated at their pediatrician's office, local clinics, and even at their own schools. Health officials are urging parents not to wait.
Get in line now, figure out with your pediatrician how to get this dose. This is going to get us back to a much more normal state.
Pfizer's trials showed the vaccine was 100% effective in stopping symptomatic infections in children. Side effects were also similar to those in young adults. Vaccines for kids 2 to 11 years old are also in trials, but that's likely still months away. And looking ahead, children 12 to 15 in Colorado should be able to get vaccinated as soon as this weekend. Governor Polis and state health officials say this is another huge milestone in putting an end to the pandemic, especially since the highest case rates in the state right now are among middle and high school aged kids.
Giving the students a vaccine is not just about, of course, protecting lives. It's also about making sure that our kids are able to experience everything that schools have to offer. Again, visiting friends and family without fear of them being exposed to COVID-19.
Health officials say parents will be able to take their kids who are in that 12 to 15 age range to any of the state's mass vaccination sites to get the Pfizer vaccine. We'll continue to keep you posted.
Happening today.
Happening today now.
Vaccination site at the state fairgrounds in Pueblo had to shut down due to the weather conditions. It'll be back open tomorrow. 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You don't need to make an appointment. By the way,
now
vaccination will also be open this week in Pueblo County.
Now.
Library. Pueblo West High School. Central High, and the Bethlehem Baptist Church. Now, most of these clinics are administering first and second doses of the Pfizer vaccine.
It happened tomorrow now.
Initiation Week, which means it's time to recognize the nurses for all the hard work they've been doing during the past year. Ashley Portillo joins us live at Children's Hospital in Colorado Springs for on some of these News 5 neighbors.
Ashley?
Hey Rob, good afternoon. So earlier today I did speak to 2 nurses here who have been in their positions for more than 60 years combined, and both of them, they did tell me that the past year has easily been one of the most unique and challenging years of their careers. Now, those 2 nurses are among the more than 450 nurses that work here at the hospital, and they've overcome a lot during the pandemic, from wearing masks and protective gear daily to changing visitor guidelines and still making sure their patients are getting taken care of. So when I asked about what Nurse Appreciation Week means, one nurse said,
I think that we all have a passion for taking care of kids and their families, providing that all-inclusive care. It's just heartwarming to know that we're able to provide such a service.
This week is also a National Hospital Week, so all the employees within the hospital getting a big shout out from the community every day this week. Certainly a lot to celebrate when it comes to the hospital staff and employees and all they have done throughout the past year. So coming up later in the newscast, we'll hear more from another nurse who said that the past year has been all about resiliency. Always watching out for you, Southern Colorado. I'm Ashley Portillo, News 5.
Ashley, thank you. Straight ahead in our latest adventure with Alan Rose, we're exploring space with an inside look at the Space Foundation and Discovery Center. You won't see this anywhere else but right here on News 5 at 4. And lots still to come. Stick around to see how long this cold and snowy weather will last. Mike Daniels is in next with your First Alert 5 forecast.